Delivering his inaugural address, Governor Willie Obiano declared, "The time has come to prove to ourselves that the entrepreneurial spirit for which our people are known all over the world can take firm roots at home. That together as one, we can be masters of our own house." 7 years after, the entire landscape of Anambra State speaks in loud affirmation that this great state has made a quick transition from paradise lost to paradise regained.
What did this man tell us he will do when we elected him? Is to make sure that investors come into Anambra and create jobs, and our people will have work, and our people will stop stealing and start being gainfully employed. Period. Did he achieve that? Yes.
I remember him saying that his objective is that people in Anambra State can live their life day or night, without fear. And of course, restoring nightlife was a major achievement. So, I can try to. If I'm coming from any group in the evening or at night, once I get to Atma, I feel relaxed that I can park my car and sleep anywhere. So that's an achievement, I think.
The question to ask is, how did he do it? The answer is simple. He came with an economic blueprint which clearly defines his conceptual and operational approaches to governance.
His vision to make Anambra the first choice investment destination and a hub for economic and commercial activities. And then the mission to create a socially stable, business-friendly environment where indigenes and non-indigenes can seek wealth-creating opportunities.
Operationally, he rolled out the 4 pillars of development, which includes agriculture, industrialization, trade and commerce, and oil and gas. The 4 pillars are firmly supported by 14 enablers.
Every action had an outcome. We were expecting a particular type of target. Number of jobs created, GDP, investment income, reduction in crime rates, and so on and so forth. All mapped out. How much we consume of rice, of this, how much we produce locally, the gap, and all that. All mapped out.
Armed with this roadmap, Governor Obiano quickly settled down to business. But first, a wide lake of extremities stood between him and his dream for Anambra State. Long before he was sworn in as the governor of Anambra State, Chief Willie Obiano knew that his administration would not make any reasonable impact if he failed to fix the decades-old insecurity challenges of the state. So, he rolled up his sleeves and went to work. He made history barely 3 weeks in office when he became the first governor in Nigeria to convene an international security conference.
In the Security Summit, he met with the champions in the world, with the Israelis, with the Americans, with different parts of the world. He interacted with them. He borrowed ideas from them and improved on what they have. And these people evolve different kinds of tricks. But Governor Obiano keeps improving on his technology by day, that he competes favorably with what is obtainable in America.
He followed the international conference with a regional security conference which attracted the 5 states of the Southeast plus Delta State. His decision to host a regional security conference came from his belief that insecurity is not a challenge that should be tackled in isolation, but as an economic bloc.
He invited these key neighboring states to come in and be part of it, because if we take it off from Anambra State, it cannot be sustained if other states that neighbor with Anambra State do not have the same architecture in place. And other states, keyed into that. And that was when we started feeling the impact of good governance in Anambra State.
As it turned out, his handling of security has become a landmark response to the challenges of insecurity in Nigeria and beyond, while his security architecture has become the most critically acclaimed security manual in West and Central Africa.
Leadership is addressing the most confronting reality of a place, country, state, province, community, family that you are leading. What distinguishes Anambra State is that public safety was defined by Obiano in 2014 as not a fleeting technical crisis, but an adaptive challenge that requires an adaptive capacity to design adaptive framework. Conventional and the modus operandi of funding it, non-conventional modus operandi of funding it, that the entire operational nodes now renegotiated and redefined their loyalties, and all of them funded for that purpose. And that is why there is a result, because that was at the root of Governor Obiano's tangent to creating genuine stability, genuine economic prosperity.
As would be expected, he has won an avalanche of awards and commendations. The most prominent of these is Nigeria's Best Governor in Supporting Security Architecture, conferred on him by the Nigeria Police Force. The second one is the Security Icon in Governance in West and Central Africa, conferred on him by the group known as Security Watch Africa.
Before Uri Obiano, traditional wedding, that is tradition, have been celebrated in Lagos. Some people even celebrate it abroad because of insecurity. Then, people like us, we are moving with about 4 heroes. We all know this. It's not about politics. I'm saying this on what he did in Anambra State. I'm not saying it because he's my friend. Of course, I can't deny him that he's my friend. I know him before he became governor of Anambra State. I know the human being, what he can do. It's not based on politics. It's based on what I know. So in the terms of security, which I now happen to be the chairman of Security Trust Fund today, I also know his contribution to create it, because he wants, after his administration, the security management will continue and live after his administration. That is a very good thinking.
The direct result of being the nation's safest state is that for the first time in its entire history, the National Bureau of Statistics reports that Anambra State attracted foreign investments valued at $10.2 million, and new Anambra has indeed begun.
The governor inherited, I would say, about a 3.2 trillion naira economy in 2014. So he came in March, but by the end of 2014, I believe the GDP of the state was roughly around 3.4 trillion naira. He was able to grow that to about 3.7 trillion. Also was able to move that between 2015 and 2016 to about 3.8 trillion. And that is usually, that period was when we had $25 oil prices, was when we had the recession, which was formalized in August of 2016, I believe. But Anambra was still able to grow minimally, but the economy did not go into recession. So the question is how is this economy growing on maybe a 150 billion naira budget? I guess that's many economists would ask that question. Because the state's budget is 1.5 billion, about 150 billion naira, 120 billion naira. Budget implementation is somewhere around 80%. But in some of those years, we are growing 300, 400, 500 billion growth. I guess that's where you have to look at the multiplier effect and impact of the security agenda of the government.
A major highlight of the Obiano administration is that he went into partnerships with major agro investors like Terrace, Josan Agro Limited, Linden Farms, Chelsea Farms, Excel Farms, Eagle Farms, and other investors. The impact of these partnerships was instantaneous.
As a matter of fact, he said he wants to be the highest producer of rice and then also be an export-oriented economy. What we met on ground in 2014, rice was at its lowest level of 80,000 metric tons per annum. But with His Excellency's policies, first of all, getting the right variety of seed, we were able to, in 2019, rise from 80,000 metric tons to 345,000 metric tons. And even with the COVID and the flood issues, we are projecting in 2021 to hit 525,000 metric tons of rice. So Terrace currently has a modular mill of 120,000 metric tons per annum. But currently, because it's a modular, they are doing the first phase of 40,000 metric tons. That is current production. Then the Umumbo Josan Agro Mill has a capacity of 120,000 metric tons. Unfortunately, that mill is underfed with paddy. So we are doing everything possible to increase the hectarage under their cultivation so that they can feed that large mill.
The efforts to encourage more people to go into farming have also yielded tremendous results, as there are currently 115,000 farmers and 2,700 cooperative societies.
First and foremost, we needed to know who are the farmers, where are the farmers, what are they growing. We set up a robust automated database that captured the farmers with GPS, their coordinates on ground, what they are producing and where they are located. So at the click of a button, you could know who is where. And His Excellency came up with a very, very laudable input distribution policy. Fertilizers, he gave a 30% subsidy. Then other inputs like cassava stems, rice seeds, maize seed, okra seed, he gave free of charge. Rice millers at low level are given destoners and threshers by His Excellency. As a matter of fact, this year we distributed 50 threshers to cooperatives at all levels and gave them destoners. So the effect of this was reduce cost of production, increase productivity, and increase profitability to the farmers.
Linden Farm is currently the largest poultry farm in southern Nigeria, having added a new facility with a capacity for holding 90,000 birds to its offerings.
Linden Farm currently is producing 5,000 crates of egg a day, and they have potential to increase to 8,000 because they are putting in some other birds into system. And they have 3 of those houses, and their target is to get to 16 houses because they want to start a slaughterhouse system.
Meanwhile, Eagle Farms at Umuchu and Wonder Farms at Umunze are blazing a trail in the commercial rearing of Efibo. All these have created employment in thousands.
We have pockets of people now rearing Efibo. A major one is the Umuchu farm of Eagle Farm that is doing Efibo. There are others in Abatete, there are others in Umweri. So with what is happening in the country now, we are advocating that we rear our own Efibo. So there's a lot of advocacy and a lot of awareness on Efibo. And in that case, we have started our partnership with the Wariam University, they have donated 250 hectares of land for a livestock center. It's going to have a quarantine station, it's going to have a grazing area, it's going to have a slaughterhouse, it's going to have everything that you require to make meat high and top quality. So it's going to be in a Wariam there under this LPRESS program. And under LPRESS also, we are going to advocate beekeeping, which we have already started because last year we trained 50 beekeepers and they equipped them fully with 250 hives and the bee kits and everything.
Interestingly, Orca-based Grafield Nigeria Limited has been exporting vegetables from Anambra to the US for quite some time now.
We are exporting vegetables, and that big time too. The government has been able to inspire large-scale production of Ogo in particular. And we are helping to keep that inspiration meaningful for the farmers. During this dry season, usually the people who live around the riverine areas produce Ogo, but they do that in measure because they know that if they overproduce, there will be a glut and they will lose. But with the export drive, they know they can't produce enough. You only need to go to Onisha, the vegetable market, to ask the women there. They know that once there is gluts, even when we're not really in need, they call us. We'll have people there positioned, they'll mop up whatever it is, and we send one of those reefer trucks or two to evacuate, bring to the warehouse, we process, package, and put in our cold room for export. So we are exporting vegetables, and even lately the market has opened a bit wider. We've been exporting to the US, but of late we have demand from South Africa, we have demand from Australia, and we're working on exporting to those two countries at the moment. And we have somebody else who has indicated interest from Canada. That will be happening also this year when we enter into the boom season. This is still the lean season for Ogo vegetables. But even now, we're processing and packaging Ogo or her and some other leaves for export. yes, this government has helped to drive that export initiative and make it also happen by strategically aiding the cold chain management with the reefer trucks which the government procured and has made available to us as the main exporters of vegetables from Anambra State.
Research shows that the demand for fish in Nigeria stands at 2.1 million metric tons per year, while current production is estimated at a paltry 800,000 metric tons. This leaves a shortfall of 1.3 million metric tons. But Governor Obiano has risen to meet this shortfall with a strategic approach that would guarantee Anambra State a firm foothold in the huge fish business. When he took over the reins of leadership in 2014, fish production in Anambra State stood at 12,000 metric tons per annum. He subsequently set up an annual fish production target of 55,000 metric tons and began to walk his talk immediately by setting up an agency that would jumpstart commercial fish farming in the state. That agency is the Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency, FABDA. The agency was created to facilitate the establishment of fish production villages in the 3 senatorial zones of the state in order to attract more farmers and entrepreneurs to fish farming in the state.
We're doing 300 ponds in each of them, and for these 300 ponds, it's going to do 75 tons per month. So when you do 75 and you multiply it by 3, you see you have 225,000 kg. These fish production villages create facility for massive production, industrial scale production of table fish, creates off-take line for the fingerlings production. So we are looking at the fish production villages as well will provide steady supply to our fish processing factories, first to the local market and also, ultimately to the export market.
The Anambra Fisheries and Aquaculture Development Agency has since swung into action, nurturing fish farmers across the state and teaching them modern techniques in fish farming. The expectation was that FABDA would catalyze fish production to ensure that the 3 senatorial zones would contribute meaningfully to the overall annual fish production output from Anambra State. FABDA has also recorded great investments in the fisheries and aquaculture industry to boost fish and fish feed production. Aided by Governor Obiano's Akuluo call, his administration's persistent effort at ensuring a peaceful and business-friendly environment, and the increased ranking of Anambra State among states with good indices in the ease of doing business, FABDA's articulate policies have successfully attracted investments in the fish and fish feed production value chain. Private organizations like Grand Series Limited, a subsidiary of USC PLC, has installed a 30% metric tons per annum fish feeds plant at Onitsha, an investment worth 1.2 billion naira only as at 2019.
There's always been a partnership between the Anambra State government and the Grand Series. That was quite instrumental. Anambra State has been quite a hospitable host, and they made it quite convenient for us to set up a business here in Anambra. We produce fish feed for the different sizes or stages of fishes, starting from the 2 mm, we have going up to the 9 mm, which is the phase for the adult fish. So we cater for the different phases of growth in the fish business. It's quite a viable business in terms of we see a lot of interest. People have interest in fish farming here in Anambra, and it's something that is still growing. I don't even think we've started yet. It still has a lot of potential in terms of where the business can get to in the state.
Indeed, the bold investment of Anambra State government under Obiano in commercial fish farming has boosted the interest of fish farmers and induced more aggression in the business. More farmers are joining the fish production value chain on a daily basis. The volume of fish production has gone up from 12,000 metric tons to 22,000 metric tons per annum. Within the period under review, private investments in fish farming have added another 6,000 metric tons to the total output from the state.
A lot of encouragement and a lot of advices has been coming from the government side, advising some of the novice or even those that have been in the system on how to handle some of the things, because some people thought that fishery is just something you would drop fish in the water and maybe it will just give you yield. It's not just like that. Anybody can do fish farming with any little amount if you can heed to advice.
A direct result of these efforts has been a drastic fall in unemployment, the emergence of the Anambra rice brand, and increased food self-sufficiency. In fact, the National Bureau of Statistics reports that in 2020, Anambra had the lowest unemployment rate in Nigeria at 17%. All thanks to Governor Obiano's exploits in agriculture and other areas. Of all the revolutionary initiatives of the Governor Willie Obiano administration, the Anambra Small Business Agency, ASBA, is the one that carries the burden of industrializing Anambra State. Expectedly, this agency has lived up to the expectations and promises that made its existence a compelling necessity. ASBA was established on December 8, 2014 to midwife the birth of a structured hub for micro, small and medium enterprises sector in Anambra State to enhance a sustainable economic development of the state. The agency's vision is to make it easy for entrepreneurs and investors in Anambra State to access the startup capital and funding they need to do business in the state. 8 years after its formation, ASBA has successfully funded 10,000 cooperatives, micro-enterprises, artisans, and microcredit loans. The agency has also provided operating capital to 300 small and medium enterprises in the state and turned Anambra into a fast-emerging sub-national economy. In all, ASBA has efficiently disbursed the sum of 2 billion naira to different businesses, industrialists, merchants, and startup hubs in Anambra State. Brands like the famous Anambra Rice, which won the Best Rice Brand in Africa Award in 2015, and other interesting ventures were all funded by ASBA.
The impact of their facilities is very obvious in our country. It increased our production. There is no break of production because we have raw material, and it's because of that facility that we were able to buy the raw material and have the stock, even the finished goods. Before, it's when we produce, we wait for sale. Then after selling and collecting money, we go for the raw material again. But now we buy them in bulk and producing, no break in producing.
I never knew such institution or the government can give out such loans. I don't know of other states, but I know it works in Anambra State.
The most outstanding achievement of ASBA, however, is the industrial cluster in Nkwele-Zinaka town in Oyi local government area of the state, which has become a beacon of excellence. The industrial cluster is home to the now famous shoemaking cluster and the newly added garment cluster. The shoemaking cluster has made a tremendous impact on Anambra's quest for industrial excellence, as shoes made in Anambra are regularly exported to neighboring West African countries.
So formerly, we are in Omoide Road, kilometer 1 on Omoide Road. That place is too congested. But as God may do it, the governor helped us and relocated us in this place. So now we are free. Customers are coming from here and there, from north, from south, from everywhere in the country. Our products are going outside of the country. Cameroon, Niger, Chad, Congo DR. So it's a very good benefit to us.
Indeed, The success recorded by the shoemaking cluster has been so convincing that it persuaded the federal government into partnering with the government of Anambra State to set up shared facility for MSMEs that will serve as a one-stop house for a productive interface between entrepreneurs and all the regulatory agencies and intermediaries in the area. The spanking new digital leather factory, which was commissioned by Vice President Professor Yemi Osibanjo on Tuesday, August 24, 2021, has a capacity to produce 96,000 shoe soles, 44,000 slippers, 44,000 shoes, and 22,000 boots in a month.
In my local address, I assured them that the time has come to prove ourselves the entrepreneurial spirit for which our people are known all over the world and different roots at home. And that together as one, we can be masters of our own house. Ladies and gentlemen, at the grace of Almighty God, my prophecy is fulfilled today with the commission of this extraordinary industrial complex by no other person than the Honorable Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Icc Monument. This is Nigeria's most modern, small and middle enterprise complex. It houses a modern industrial shoe park with cutting-edge technology and a capacity to produce shoes that are comparable at all levels to the shoes made in Europe.
It is fascinating to see that under Obiano, Anambra State is fast reclaiming its position as the industrial capital of southeast Nigeria. New businesses are sprouting up in every corner of the state, from lifestyle shops to agro-allied businesses, leisure and hospitality, and many more. In all, the Anambra Small Business Agency ASBA has restored Anambra State to the industrial and export map of Nigeria and contributed enormously to the fight against unemployment and poverty in Anambra State. It is therefore not surprising that under the masterful watch of Governor Willie Obiano, Anambra State occupies the enviable position of the state with the lowest poverty and unemployment rates in Nigeria. In simple terms, Governor Willie Obiano has endeared himself to the people with measurable and timely initiatives like ASBA, which have changed both the landscape of the state and the lifestyle of the Anambra. As Anambra State joins the League of fully recognized oil-producing states in Nigeria, it is important to remember that this achievement did not come by chance. In fact, it is a result of several years of efforts from Governor Willie Obiano, but more importantly, Chief Willie Obiano had singled out the oil and gas sector as one of the key pillars of his economic blueprint.
You know, when I came in 2014, I said that I want Anambra to be the first choice investment destination and a hub for economic and commercial activity. I also said in my mission, we want to create a socially stable, business-friendly environment where indigenous and non-indigenous alike will have opportunity for wealth creation. It is this vision and mission that we package through a blueprint, and from there we have the 4 pillars and the 14 enablers. On the pillar side, you have agriculture, trade and commerce, oil and gas, and industrialization. Right from the onset, oil and gas was a pillar in my overall concepts.
Quite remarkably, the first thing Governor Obiano did in the oil and gas sector after resuming office was in the area of formulating policies that would drive the development of oil and gas in the state and help the state scale past the avoidable mistakes made by other oil-bearing states before it.
So, and I quickly did something a month after I was sworn in by getting the House to approve the Oil and Gas Development Agency. We also quickly followed with an Oil and Gas Advisory Board, earlier being headed by late engineer Eboga, and they went to work.
Obiano's mandate to the committee was to draft a comprehensive blueprint for the oil and gas sector within 18 months and advise the state on the requisite steps that will lead to being fully recognized and accorded the full privileges of an oil-producing state.
The first thing we did was to go to DPR to find out who is prospecting in Anambra and where. Our findings were not comprehensive then until 2016, when somebody we didn't include, we found out was already producing oil and selling through Delta State, that is CIPCO Oil and Gas Company Limited. So we went full blast on CIPCO for such an act. A lot of pressure, we mounted a lot of pressure on CIPCO. We involved the Senate Committee on Ethics, who visited CIPCO 2 times. They invited us and CIPCO to appear before the Senate. We did. There were all kinds of pressure we mounted, and we followed this things with letters to the Minister of Petroleum Resources and what have you.
Indeed, Governor Willie Obiano has never rested on his oars to ensure that Anambra State comes into the fullness of the glory of our natural endowments. On November 5th, 2020, Governor Obiano summoned CIPCO, an Indian oil company that has been exploring oil in Anambra State illegally for a while, to a meeting with the necessary stakeholders. The meeting, which took place at Golden Tulip Aguli Lake Hotel, Agolo, sought to encourage CIPCO to legitimize its exploratory activities in the upstream sector in the state.
At the execution of this project we're here today, it was observed the sector did not obtain all the required regulatory permits before ever embarking on drilling at the site. This was a clear violation of Section 62 of the Environmental Impact Assessment Act. Consequent upon this, a stop work order dated the 6th of July 2020 was issued by the Ministry of Environment to CIPCO on the illegal activities. But beyond the stop work order, I want to state clearly here today that my ministry shall ensure that the full extent of the law is brought to bear on any erring party.
It urged CIPCO to sign standard agreements with the state and the host communities in line with global best practices that guide oil prospecting and exploration. Before that meeting, some indigents of some oil-bearing communities were at each other's throats over the sharing of the compensations that trickled down from the oil mining company, which were poorly distributed amongst them. But the stakeholders meeting restored normalcy and paved way for the push for a proper recognition of the state as an oil-producing state by the presidency.
We wrote the presidency when I was very sure of our facts. We now wrote the presidency and said, we have the following oil companies prospecting oil in our state, and these are their wells. Trust the president, he set up a team to investigate our claim. And when he found out that our claim was legit, he approved that we become an oil and gas producing state, and that culminated to the letter that was signed on his behalf by the Chief of Staff. The stage we are in now is that the Oil and Gas Advisory Committee, are working with DPR to ascertain the quantum of oil already produced by these companies and sold.
But perhaps the most important thing Governor Obiano did after he was sworn in was to flag off the construction of the 280 meters Agule-Riotu Bridge across the Omambala River to the oil field in Agule-Riotu, which before now could only be accessed through neighboring towns in Enugu State. Governor Obiano also constructed the Omoide Bridge on the southern flank. These 2 bridges have opened up the oil-rich communities of Anambra East and boosted agricultural production in the area.
After all this pressure, we were able to be listed as oil and gas producing. My administration will not benefit much from it because I'm already on my way out, but if you put this in side by side with landmark things that we have done, the airport project at the back of being an oil and gas producing state, and of course the International Conference Center, the Golden Tulip Hotel, the Onitsha Shopping Mall. These are legacy projects of this administration that people will remember me for long after I've gone. So I'm very happy, I'm very delighted that we are now an oil-producing state.
No governor in the history of Anambra State has shown as much interest in developing trade and commerce in the state as Governor Willie Obiano. The completion of the Oba International Market is one good proof of this. But a better proof is certainly the 10 million Choose Your Project Market initiative, which has led to the remodeling of most markets in Anambra State. Under the scheme, the 62 major markets in the state were allowed to choose a project which it considered as top priority and given the sum of 10 million naira to execute them.
So His Excellency, through his genuine conceptualized policy of Operation Zero Tolerance to Crime, took up to the challenges of Anambra as regards to trade and commerce according to priority. It started from security, because for you to talk about investment, trade and commerce or whatever, you need to have an enabling environment. Under Governor Willie Obiano, we can celebrate 6 years of non-violent crime in Anambra State, no bank robbery. So that gave the traders an enabling environment to transact their business without fear of insecurity.
There has also been a bold effort to relocate some of the markets or some segments of some markets to places that would enhance their accessibility to more customers as well as their growth.
His Excellency Governor Willie Obiano, who you know from his background, brought in that professionalism into governance. So we introduced e-commerce. We were able to change their mentality, get them to buy into the idea of using technology, media, the ICT to be able to transact their business. And it's trending now. So His Excellency, through his genuine policies, have been able to implement that in Anambra State. And in this program, His Excellency is the programmer, programming what the program is showing.
The completion of Onitsha Shopping Mall has added a new dimension to the city and created a hub for socio-cultural engagement that goes beyond mere commerce. Markets across the state have also benefited a great deal from the peaceful environment created by Governor Obiano. No one in their right mind will doubt that the Willie Obiano administration has taken education to an enviable height in Anambra State. Under his watch, Anambra has recorded the most impressive feats in education by any state in Nigeria.
His Excellency Dr. Willie Obiano came in quite prepared actually. In education, we already have a clear blueprint of what he wants, and that's what we are running to ensure that the learning needs of all are met through equitable distribution of resources and learning of lifelong skills, and ensure we are one of the 3 top states with the lowest illiteracy rates. The World Debate Championship, we've had our students attending. We had the first Nigeria-Singapore debate, and we beat the Cartoon Convent School. Our Operation Apache students went to Silicon Valley for the Tech Innovation Pitching Challenge, and they won gold to beat the whole countries to come back. People from St. John's Science and Technical College, went to Tunisia in 2019, and they won bronze. In fact, in 2019, we won the National Debate Championship for the 3rd time, and we have the cups now for kids. Every subject, practically every subject, teacher has received some form of training. We've given our teachers international visibility. We've taken them to Singapore, we've taken them to Dubai, we've taken them to America, and that has actually helped us very, very well. Last year, 2020, our teachers were taken to Dubai, to also learn some things on administration and how to look after schools. So it has given the teachers and the head teachers and the principals and some of our educators, the people in the education ministry, it's giving them leverage over their counterparts in other states.
Similarly, the robust motivation given to school teachers in Anambra State under Obiano has put Anambra teachers up for national honors and awards for exemplary performance.
Consecutively since 2014, we've been winning awards consistently. In 2017, we won the overall best teacher in Nigeria, and then 2018 overall best administrator. 2019 was the masterpiece, where out of 5 cars that the federal government brought out, Anambra, came back with 2, plus 4 or 5 awards that you came back with. So to us, it's a living testimony that what we are doing in education under the Chief Dr. Obiano is actually working.
Under Obiano, a policy that teachers in hard-to-reach areas will be given 20% of their salaries as incentives has been in full implementation for 7 years now. So far, the administration has recruited 1,000 new teachers to strengthen both primary and secondary schools and build hostels with a capacity to shelter 700 students in 12 technical colleges.
Hostels for our technical colleges, that is the one that is actually one of the legacy projects, the legacy projects we are going to leave for this administration, is bringing back the boarding facilities in 12 of our technical colleges. Through the ASUBEB, there has been a lot of renovation in schools.
The administration has been consistent in providing funds to both public and mission schools.
In 2017, they wrote a beautiful letter to Anambra State for credible conduct of WAEC exam in the state. That is a testimony. To me, I call it my letter of joy. That's what I call it, because it's an indication that His Excellency has actually been vindicated.
In tertiary education, the administration worked assiduously for the accreditation of the College of Medicine of the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University and ensured the eventual graduation of the school's first set of medical students after 10 years of waiting. Meanwhile, over 300 students have been awarded scholarships by the Obiano administration. Governor Obiano's vision for the health sector is that Anambra should become the state with the highest health status in Nigeria and with unfettered access to healthcare delivery and near-zero disease burden. The aggressive pursuit of this vision has led to the establishment of the Anambra State Primary Healthcare Agency to tackle the fundamental issues in primary healthcare delivery in the state.
It's on record that this administration achieved the primary healthcare under one roof. This has led to a lot of positive changes in the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Primary healthcare centers that have been refurbished and rehabilitated, 63 of them across the 3 senatorial zones. And we also saw novel things go into these primary healthcare centers, like the KK ambulances, which other states have come to copy from us. And what this has done for us is to bring healthcare services down to the grassroots. So now we can boast of having at least one functional primary healthcare center per political ward across the states.
The commitment of the administration to a robust healthcare delivery to the greater number of people in the state has led to the inauguration of the Anambra State Healthcare Insurance Agency, ASHIA. The agency has a mandate to make primary healthcare easy and accessible to the greater number of the Anambra. Through ASHIA, quality Medicare has become easy and affordable to more people.
In the first instance, the Anambra State Health Insurance Agency that he put together was aimed clearly at expanding the fiscal space of healthcare financing in such a way that you pool resources that have been lying fallow, understanding clearly that Anambra State had the highest out-of-pocket health expenditure in the whole world. But today, we have a central purchasing mechanism. We have a central fund pooling mechanism for health. We have a central control like what you have for JACU in the US, managing the healthcare delivery system of the state. Anambra State Health Insurance Scheme prides itself in Nigeria in 2 years under the guidance of His Excellency Chief William Adamrochko and the political will he has demonstrated to make ASHIA work. Today, with our adoption model, we have over 36,000 lives from the informal sector, active lives accessing healthcare from over 250 hospitals in this state.
In addition, the government has donated the sum of 747 million naira to all the mission hospitals in the state to help them retool their processes and offer critical interventions in the health sector.
When you move around the state, you notice that there has been a strategic upgrade in our secondary healthcare system. You go to Onitsha General Hospital, Enugu General Hospital, Ekula General Hospital. The goal of the government was to make sure that we have these hospitals elevated to specialty hospital status in the 3 senatorial zones. And that is how these things have been successfully nested.
The most outstanding legacies of Governor Obiano in the healthcare sector may well be the Immaculate Heart Multi-Specialist Hospital Aguleri, which compares favorably to any modern hospital in the advanced parts of the world. The opening of the hospital attracted positive comments and outright commendations from the Anambra, who are happy that such a world-class medical facility has come within a touching distance. But one of the most memorable achievements of the Obiano administration in the medical sector is the commissioning of the largest oxygen plant owned by a state government in Nigeria. The Anambra Oxygen Plant is located in the premises of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University Teaching Hospital, Orca.
Here we are not just suppliers of oxygen, but we regulate the quality. Under normal condition, we can produce as much as 600 cylinders, 6 cubic meter cylinders in a day. And the governor has instructed that we deliver not less than 420 of these big cylinders. So, but we work 24 hours because of this pandemic now. We basically live here, making sure we get out the best so that we ensure regular supplies. So what we do is we make sure we produce pure oxygen. And there has been big testimonies of successes of those that use our oxygen, both in the pressure that we put in the cylinders.
Anambra is one of the few states in Nigeria that made great efforts to ensure that the COVID-19 pandemic did not wreak a severe havoc on its population. On account of its extremely itinerant population and the presence of West Africa's largest retail market, Anambra had looked very vulnerable at the outbreak of the pandemic. But the state mounted a timely awareness campaign to sensitize traders and residents on the need to adopt the standard protocols against the virus. This proactive step played a crucial role in slowing down the spread of the virus. Anambra's COVID-19 isolation centers are among the best equipped and friendly centers in Nigeria. Anambra is also known to have recorded a very impressive result in the campaign against COVID-19.
Looking back to where we had our index case when COVID-19 made a landfall in Anambra State, April 10th, 2020, we've had 1,860 confirmed cases. We've conducted 23,672 tests in the state. We've treated and discharged 1,610 cases out of the 1,860 confirmed cases. As of today, we have only 31 active cases. And these 31 active cases are taking home treatment in their house, the various homes, using a treatment pack that was developed in this state, the first of its kind in the nation. You no longer need to leave the state to get diagnosed. You no longer need to leave the state to get treated. You no longer need to leave the state for any stage of this disease. We took delivery of 78,810 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine on March 12th, 2021. And since then, existence have actually officiated the symbolic shots that were given to some of our frontline healthcare delivery workers and also our citizens. Now, we can say that we went through those 4 phases of this disease: mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. And this happened because we have a forward-thinking governor who was able to, before the arrival of this pandemic, prepare a system that was able to respond to the pandemic. So Anambra State says, thank you, Dr. Willie Obiano, for being that governor who saw tomorrow and prepared us to battle this pandemic of a lifetime.
Governor Obiano's far-sighted investment in an oxygen production plant has become very useful, as hospitals across the state are giving free oxygen cylinders for their patients struggling with COVID-19.
These are things he did foresighted, and that has made the management of COVID in Anambra State easy for us. Apart from that, in terms of other diagnostics, I can comfortably tell you we have the best computed topographic scan in Southeast. 64 light CT scan is functional. None of the teaching hospitals in Southeast has that. It's fully functional. We also have a digital X-ray and we have a mammography. That mammography machine is not in any teaching hospital in Southeast. Diagnostically, the impact of the state government, His Excellency Chief Dr. William, has been very tremendous. Words cannot describe it.
Right from the inception of his administration, Governor Obiano made it very clear that he was going to build roads and construct bridges that have economic importance. By this declaration, he meant that he would give priority attention to roads and bridges that lead to industrial clusters, agricultural belts, the oil fields, and commercial centers. In pursuit of that, the 3 flyovers in Orca and Amoide, and other bridges like the Nengu River Bridge, the Iora Bridge, the Ebenebe Amansi Bridge, the Umoide Bridge, as well as the Kisa River Bridge in Omonia, the SARS Okozo Abu Benando Bridge, Ndukwenu Awafuma Bridges, and the Ezira Umuomaku Enugu Monya Bridge have become outstanding legacies of the Obiano administration in terms of bridges. However, the 280 meters long Aguleri 2 bridge that leads to the oil fields of Anambra State stands out as the longest bridge in Southeast Nigeria and a monument to an administration that is committed to changing the story of Anambra State.
If I want to do it in terms of sanitary zones, we've completed 30 roads in the south, completed 35 in the north, and we completed 44 in the central. In the north, we've completed Nando Junction, Adani Road, highway is completed. Then we completed the 6 streets, that's Amigwe Roads in Aguleri. We've done the Udi and Opo Street in Onitsha. We've done the Ajasa Street in Onitsha, Ezenwa Street in Onitsha, Allen Street in Onitsha. Then we completed Okozuntejo Umwer Airport Road with 2 bridges. It's a dual carriage road. This is a road that goes to Anambra International Cargo and Passenger Airport, 100% completed. We completed Okozu SARS Abu Benando Road with bridges, fully completed. Also, World Market Road is completed. Share Road in Umweri has been completed by No Idea. Access roads around the KRC and the attraction of Omunde Square in Enugu has been fully completed. Obagu Ndienu Street in Omoide has been completed by No Idea. Abutment and retaining wall for E River, when we are going to Otuocha from Teje, that bridge was down. This administration completed abutment, 100% done. Obumbede Road, done by No Idea, has been fully completed. Umweze Ibezunu, with a lot of streams, has been completed by ICC. Then we have the approach to the Nkesa Omonia Bridge. When we are going from Omonia to Omudioka, that bridge there, the approach was fully completed by this administration. Then we have the Abazon Street in Iyowa layout in Odepe, completed by this administration. Then we have the Madonna Catholic Church Street in Iyowa 2, completed by this administration. Then one of all is College of Education Gate to Nsube Esewe, completed by this administration. Then we have the Okoze Bariama Achala by CCC, it's completed by this administration. Then we have the Abube Road to Ebariam, again in Nando, completed by this administration. Then if you go to the south, St. Peter University Achina Road, Achina One Road was completed by this administration. Then internal roads in the Assisian Hospital, Amici, completed by this by Pachuks. The maintenance of access road to Invent Center, that is Oko, when the Alex Ekweme was buried, all the roads around there, they were completed by this administration. Then Ekulobia Ezinifite Road, completed by this administration. Isulo School, that School of the Blind in Isulo, the road in front of that place was completed by this administration. Ekulobia Omunze, Omunchu Road, completed by this administration. Metu Road in Nnewi, Ichida, Azibo, Amicho, Sumenyi, Akwihe Road was completed by this administration. Ibuku Ekulumili Road, completed. Iswafia Umona Nanka Road was completed. So a lot of roads. But if I start to count them, we can't live here today because we are talking of the entire road completed in Anambra to be 109 roads completed by this administration. Then in the central, this administration completed Nnokwa Ichida Road. They completed Nkwenuguhu Onitsha Expressway Road. They completed Ivite Road for the Unizik Road. It was completed by this administration. Then Old INEC Y Junction Nodu Goodwill Road was completed by this administration. PHCN Road by CCC in Idemili North was completed by this administration. Abakaleke Street, Ongozeka Street was completed, fully completed. Then Kuke Market Road to Maternity was completed by this administration. Ben Obi Street, that's in Udoka Estate there, with a spur to Reverend Ken Ilanya Crescent, completed by this administration. Then with this administration dredged the flood channels from Amoide to Nibo through the lodge. The floor, it was blocked, so when it rains, the whole everywhere is flooded. But this administration opened and dredged that canal. As to Biako Dua Carriageway in Orca here, completed by this administration. Then Stamford Road, Orca, completed by this administration. Emeka Anyoku in Obosi, completed by this administration by Sixview. Then Oyeneni Adazunuku Akwezi Ibuku Road was completed by this administration. Then Federal Government College Nise Road to Akabomba Uku. This administration completed the road. Then construction of Agulu Lake Bypass, Section 1, with a bridge, was completed by this administration. Then Umudioka, Ubudike Cave Road with Sport to Girls Secondary School Umudioka was done by this administration. Idan Umoji Road by this administration. So if I continue to count, it's many. But I want to tell you that in terms of road construction, this administration has done very, very well.
One of the most enduring legacies of the Obiano administration is the highly innovative 20 million naira Community Choose Your Project initiative. This initiative has been described as revolutionary by many development experts and widely adopted as a fantastic rural development model.
It was designed in such a way that each community will choose a project, get a contractor who will build the project, and they will supervise it. We did this in all the 181 communities in Anambra State. I say 181 because Onitsha has Onitsha North, Onitsha South, Obosi has Obosi Urban, and Obosi Men. And the beauty of these projects was that during the recession, things were very hard. But because each community had 20 million naira injected into it, the contractor from there will buy the goods from the local environment. So by the time you put in the multiplier effect of money, you find out that 20 million in a community actually ended up being about 100 million in terms of the number of times the money changed hands. And after the first phase, we did the second phase. And by and large, the second phase is about 85% completed. First phase, I would say, is over 99%, completed.
It is a quintessential bottom-up approach to development that has never been tried anywhere else. Under this scheme, 182 communities in Anambra State have been given a chance to feel the presence of government in their localities. No community is left behind. Now in its third phase, this initiative has changed the landscape of Anambra State. It has been widely adopted by different states across the Federation as an effective bottom-up approach to development.
It's a tremendous success. I don't think it's any surprise that Forbes magazine called it a blueprint, successful blueprint for rural development in Africa. The reason is that it's the people that think out the project, select contractors for the project, and build it for their own benefit.
The Obiano administration has brought some improvement in power supply to Anambra. From Oji River in Enugu State, the administration ensured the installation of a 33 kV line to supply power to Urumba North and South. It benefited 31 communities. This particular initiative was so transcendental that an unintended beneficiary, the Isoshi community in Abia State, had to send a delegation to specially thank the governor for giving it a rare access to electricity.
His Excellency has extended electricity to a lot of communities in the state, especially the ones that have never seen electricity before. He has also extended transmission line to Anambra North Senatorial Zone, extended transmission line from Otuacha Junction through Enugu Aguleri to Unando. And this particular project is the one that affected a whole lot of communities that have never seen electricity. We created what we call the Newi Feeder 2.
that extended electricity to a lot of communities around the Newi axis. His Excellency has also signed a very big MOU with the TCN. The details of the MOU is that TCN is going to do a total of 6 transmission stations around the state. The main idea is after installing all these transmission stations, they will all be linked by 132 kV line and generate a power ring around the state. So from any part of the state you can draw power. Also, I must not fail to tell you that His Excellency has distributed a total of 730 transformer substations around the state to different communities, different organizations, different groups. And in addition to that, out of these 730, installed about 400 to different communities too. And that's why you notice now that it's a very common discussion among Anambra that we've had light for 5 days, we have light for 4 days. The investment is paying off.
The Willie Obiano administration has made a huge impact on water supply and distribution. The major achievements are the landmark Otuacha Water Scheme and Obizi Water Scheme.
The processing capacity of Otuacha, it can process about 10 million liters of water per day. And the scheme covers about 8.5 kilometers across 3 communities, but His Excellency has given approval for us to extend it to 5 other communities. The one of Obizi is a little bit bigger. Obizi is an old water scheme, so the scope of work was expansion and rehabilitation. That one has a total pipeline reticulation of about 40 kilometers, covers about 14 communities. Obizi is a natural spring water that has a high yield, 7,000 cubic meter per hour. His Excellency has rehabilitated about 129 non-functional boreholes. There are a couple of small ones, like 95 number solar-powered borehole that the government of Anambra State work with EU to deliver to communities. There is another 100 independent boreholes that the ministry directly deployed. If you cumulate all these things within the time of this administration, there is no community that you cannot point a water project. His Excellency has done cumulatively up to 1,000 water installations around the communities in Anambra State.
The Light Up Anambra campaign is one of the amazing ideas of the Obiano administration that has placed Anambra ahead of other states in Nigeria. With 1,800 kilometers stretch of streetlights, Anambra is unarguably Nigeria's most illuminated state. This scheme has not only created a 24-hour economy in the state, it has also changed social life in the cities. The scheme has enhanced nightlife and impacted heavily on the fight against crime and criminality. It has also unveiled the hidden aesthetics of most cities and towns, which now sparkle in the night and give the impression of one huge, sprawling urban habitat. The street lights also encourage interpersonal interactions, as in the Anambra feels safer to travel from Orca to Onitsha or Nnewi under the glorious dazzle of LED street lights.
With every sense of certainty, I can tell you that Anambra State is not only the most secure state in Nigeria, but as I'm talking to you now, Anambra State is the most illuminated state in Nigeria because of the massive investment His Excellency has done under Light Up Anambra initiative. He has actually done the total of 1,800 kilometers of street lights, and this has greatly changed the way we do things in Anambra State. It has changed our life positively. People do business 24 hours. There is no difference between night and day in Anambra. If you are moving in the night, you will not even know that it's night.
As the host state of West Africa's largest retail market, Anambra State cannot afford to toy with the dangers posed by fire outbreaks. This is because any fire outbreak in any of the 62 markets in the state will directly lead to huge, incalculable losses, untold suffering and misery. Happily, the Obiano administration has been on top of the challenge. The State Fire Service Station has recently been equipped with modern fire trucks and tools needed for effective campaign against fire. Some of these trucks have been fully positioned in markets and other strategic locations where a swift response to distress calls is guaranteed.
there is a lot of improvement in terms of the response time of the firemen, the total, firefighting processes, and people are talking about it. It's not by accident. His Excellency has done a lot of investment there, both in terms of material and in terms of the staff welfare. The interesting thing is that in 2017, His Excellency added 3 new fire trucks. In 2019, he also added 3 new, including two from Innocent. So there is this systematic investment and maintenance in that sector. And also, His Excellency has recruited about 120 firemen into the Anambra State Fire Service. And of course, this will add a lot of value to what we are doing.
A little over 7 years ago, no one in Anambra State believed that a proper mass transit system would function in the state. There was always fear and apprehension about a likely unsavory reaction from the road transport unionists and the big-time transporters in the state. But the Obiano administration has made a big impact in the mass transit sector with the big intercity buses, popularly known as Willie is Walking. This intervention touches society's most vulnerable members, as low-income earners, civil servants and students rely heavily on these buses to meet their personal commitments and stay afloat.
The Willie Obiano administration, regards to transport service, has put a lot of strategic framework and activities on ground that will drive transport services, remodel the framework and various activities that will affect both the operators and the commuters. Anambra is a hub of transport services. Name it, from Ekeneli Chukwu, Izuchukwu, GUO, all of them, who are the real big shots in transport services, all come from Anambra State. So they understand the rudiments and the plans of developing transport services in Nigeria. So we needed the collaborative efforts of both the Federal Road Safety, the VIO, the agency that we call Atma, and the state, with my ministry team, to develop a framework that would drive activities in the transport industry. In the water services, from experience of my being in agric, we understand that logistics and movement of produce from farm locations are one of the things that has disrupted some of the produce and farmers from doing very well. So what we have done is we've carved out those routes and we've studied them, and we realized that the axis between Nzam, or Onitsha down to Nzam to Onono axis, where we do vegetables and the rest of them, are going to be taken care of. For now, we've also studied the axis, the head bridge axis to Asaba. We think vehicular traffic is quite huge, so we should be able to reduce activities and the congestions on traffic on those routes by creating this movement of ferry services, pontoon services from Onitsha to Asaba, and also moving of agri-produce from Onitsha to Otuocha, from Otuocha to Onitsha, down to Obaro, down to River State. So we've done this development. As we speak now, the ramps are being built in Otuocha and Onitsha. So the axis will be live in the next couple of weeks.
To enhance traffic control and management, the administration had rolled out Atma, Anambra Transport Management Agency. Atma has not only fought the chaotic flow of traffic in major cities across the state, but it has also taken so many bright youngsters off the streets.
We set up a center that we call the Transport Command Control Center. In our Command Control Center, we have a platform. We use various technology, both the WhatsApp and developed platform that we use to link up live feeds coming from every community in Anambra State. So every state has got a youth who is technically involved in making sure that the system is fed with information as they come in. We also have links to all the security agencies who would leverage on the information we're providing them to help us manage security on our roads. In there, we also have secured travel information center where individuals can also get information and be able to forward on to our platform. We have also set up an app that we call the Anambra State Transport Management Code. The ATMC code is a code that we've designed to manage vehicular movements on a road. Every vehicle, every automobile vehicle in Anambra State is expected to have ATMC code. Once you put in and feed in the numbers, it shows you the details of the driver, the locations and everything. So it's a huge arm of one creating security apparatus, the agencies to be able to tap into what we're doing, and also for individuals and commuters feel safe going on transport within the state. So what we have done is unifying all the associations to make sure that they all have in tandem with the policies of the state, and everybody is working as we have done.
The Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS, and the National Light newspapers are among the most vibrant state-owned media houses in Nigeria. ABS is fiercely competing for a major share of voice with private stations across the country. The station has struck important partnerships with some development agencies who found its services remarkable. But the station was in a mess when Obiano took over as governor. He swore to make the station compete with the best, and that promise has been kept. He has also cleared 25-year-old pension arrears owed the staff of ABS and National Light since the creation of Anambra State. When Governor Obiano assumed office, he announced his philosophy of Ana Aluolo, Ana Alumadu. What he meant was that his government would be essentially driven by the kindest consideration for the people, that his administration would put the people first. Obiano ensured that the Anambra worker did not suffer the scalding fire of the last economic recession, that their salaries were not only paid on time, but were actually increased when other states were owing workers several months of salaries.
So you can have a more humane person than that. And it's not just salaries, pensions, allowances, leave allowances are paid regularly. Actually, when he came in, without prompting, with effect from 1st of January 2015, he increased the salaries by 15%. Workers were shocked. They just got the alert and saw an increase, and they thought there was a mistake in the calculation. He gave the matching order that minimum wage be implemented in this state, and it was implemented. Of course, you know that the regular annual rise bonanza continued under his tenure for the past 7 years. The mass transit buses, which he gave to workers, still sustaining them, and that is why the workers of this state don't joke with him, because they trust him. They know that the promises he made in the past have been kept.
Governor Willie Obiano inherited a weak revenue foundation of barely $500 million a month, but today he has grown internally generated revenue to a staggering height.
So it's not necessarily about figure all the time, but understand the structure that the government met, what has been done, which will be the structure that the government is going to leave, that will drive the revenue of the state into the future. So the critical and most important asset in revenue administration is data. In order to achieve this, the state government launched what we call the Anambra State Social Service Identity Number Project. I believe it's one of the most significant achievements of this government.
One of the things that distinguished the Willie Obiano administration from his predecessors is the institutionalization of governance for effective and efficient delivery of service to Ndi Anambra. Obiano considered it expedient to set up agencies like ANSIPA, ASBA, ACTDA, Orca Brigade, and others. These agencies have offered maximum value and repaired the confidence reposed in them.
Governor Obiano has taken it to the next level. He understands the pillars creating prosperity, sustainable prosperity, in addition to infrastructure, is also institutionalizing governance. It's also set up key structures and building very strong pillars of infrastructure that would improve the footprints into Anambra State.
The Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency, ANSIPA, has served as a veritable one-stop shop for investors. It was established to make the process of investing in the state as easy as a walk in a park.
I have a personal experience. I knew people who had been waiting for 2 years to get their CFO. And it's not to point fingers at anyone, but the architecture, the institutional architecture was not set up to fast-track those sort of activities. There is no need for someone who says, I have 5 billion naira to invest in a state. You have that person sitting down 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the Ministry of Lands waiting to speak to a commissioner. Then maybe the file for land moves and he now says, okay, it's agriculture I'm trying to invest in. Let me go to the Ministry of Agriculture and have a discussion with the commissioner. And he starts having that discussion. It takes another 2 or 3 weeks. Then he says, okay, as I'm thinking about this investment, I will need fiscal planning, I will need these permits, I will need taxes, so he goes to all these 3, 4, 5, 7 different agencies. So you just see that he spent about a year or two just chasing all these things that government doesn't need to spend money to provide them. The investor has his money, he just wants the permit, he wants the land, he's willing to pay, all these different. So we articulated that law and created the ANSIPA law, and that's what birthed Anambra State Investment Agency. Today, those investors go there. It's a focal point to discuss and engage with the state on commercial investment projects.
To the credit of this agency, Anambra has become the investment mecca of the Southeast, attracting $10.2 million in foreign investment in 2020. ANSIPA was also behind the speedy establishment of multi-billion naira investments like Koscharis Farms, Josan Farms, Linden Farms, MPI Infrastructure, Excel Farms, Chelsea Farms, Dell Farms, Golden Tulip, and a few other thriving businesses in the state.
What it actually does underline is that private money, huge private money, has been given a clear channel of view where to go and have peace and where to go and have a high return. One measure is that Governor Obiano's 7 years going to 8 in Anambra State has catapulted the gross domestic product of this state. If we put our pen to paper and begin to write down number of jobs created by the things, the activities that are going on because of the way the governor has designed it, young people, young ladies that are students reading engineering, civil engineering and other, you see them in jeans, they are all engaged and working.
The Orca Capital Territory Development Authority, ACDA, is charged with the responsibility of designing and mapping out a plan that would make Orca a truly 21st century city. The agency has worked assiduously to execute its mandate, reclaiming lands, waterways, and green areas that had long been hijacked by vicious land speculators.
Orca Capital Territory has its jurisdiction over 24 towns, which cuts across 6 local government areas. From the inception, we were able to establish the commencement of the master plan. Before now, there was nothing like a master plan. Most developments were just haphazard, but we've put into motion the preparation of the master plan, which was one of the functions of the Capital Territory to prepare and to apply. We have gone far to establish preliminary land use map for the Capital Territory. This is in conjunction with the Ministry of Lands. All these are actually not on the drawing table, but we've been able to start the implementation.
The Obiano administration has shown a remarkable sensitivity to the ravages of erosion in Anambra State. The administration has tackled about 12 major erosion sites across the state, but the efforts of the state seem like a drop in the ocean because Anambra has over 900 active gully erosion sites that require urgent attention. Nevertheless, the administration, in partnership with the World Bank, the federal government, and the Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project, NEWMAP, has fought back with a sterling performance that has drawn the praises of people who had lost their homes and livelihood to erosion, but have regained them with the intervention of NEWMAP.
Numbers, we're talking about 25,000 beneficiaries across the entire state. Specifically with erosion intervention, we're talking about 13 communities spread across the 3 geopolitical zones. And these interventions are not just limited to erosion direct intervention, but we're also discussing issues across that involves flood control. A specific example would be the Onitsha Urban Stormwater Master Plan that has been completed across the 3 major local governments that surround the Onitsha North and Onitsha South local constituencies.
In Anambra State, we are worked in all the 3 senatorial zones with major erosion sites. These erosion sites, some of them are as deep as 35 meters, like 100 foot in Nnewi. The federal government has come, the Minister of Environment has come and looked at it, the ecological team have come and looked at it. His Excellency said, we can't wait when our people are dying. And unfortunately, this gori is at the center of Nnewi, is in Uruagu Nnewi, and the market that Nnewi is known for is being threatened by this erosion. So His Excellency directed that instead of waiting for federal government to do what is supposed to be done by them, that we should go in and do that. And we went in, and the story has changed. If you go there now, you won't even know there's an erosion. Then in Ezinifite was threatening the road, and this is a road that links Anambra State with Imo State. So His Excellency directed that we go there and do it. Then in the central, we worked on the Minaj, Obosi. The depth of this, it was terrible. You can't even look down there. And it's threatening every houses. Even Minaj radio station is being threatened. And His Excellency directed that we go there because that is the major water channel. The whole water that comes from Idemili area, all of them pass through this place to River Niger. Aroli Obelago, I think this is the worst of all the erosions we have controlled because so many people have gone, because somebody will be watching his 3-story building gone and people have died of heart attack. His Excellency directed that we have to do a diversion, at least to divert the water so that we won't lose more houses and lives. That's what we have done, and we are going back this direction to complete that erosion, and the story is different.
The Anambra International Airport is Governor Willie Obiano's biggest legacy in Anambra State.
His Excellency has fulfilled that promise. The promise he made to the Anambra, will give you an airport, not only an airport, a very standard airport. By God's grace, from the professionals like Director General NCAA, like the House Committee, National Assembly Committee on Aviation. When they came here, they said it, and it's on record, that we are doing one of the best international airports in sub-Saharan Africa. So the airport is done to the best, latest international standard in the whole world.
When you talk about economic development, you must have special attention for aviation. It is key, it is important. Without it, you cannot talk about economic or social development of any community or any nation of the world. I can see by all consideration, this is one of the best airports that we have. There's no doubt about it. To me, what you have done is beyond helping Anambra State economically. You are not only helping Anambra State, you are not only helping to accelerate socio-economic development of the Southeast, but that of Nigeria as a whole. For me, I'm very proud as a Nigerian to be here.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to other governors, if possible, to emulate you. When I was coming, I looked at the length of the road that you are constructing, and I was wondering, I said, I called the chairman house. I said, is this a federal government money or how? Because the length of the road itself is convincing that you meant business with the investment that you have here.
In concept and execution, the airport reflects the ambition, taste, style, and attention to detail of Governor Obiano. It was designed to match the specifications of modern airports across the world. It has the second longest runway in the country, next only to Lagos. It has all the facilities for a 24-hour operation, being fully equipped with the necessary navigational aids and the instruments for night landing. The airport is a monument to the relentless spirit of Anambra and their intrinsic aspiration to conquer the world.
It has never happened before. We've been hearing it's coming, it's coming. Finally, the right man was on the scene to make it a reality. So every true Anambra will be excited because it's going to revolutionize a business in every ramification. There can't be anything better, in all honesty. So I'm excited to be part of the history.
I feel very proud to be an Anambarian today, and as you can see, everybody is excited. This has created jobs from the startup to finish, and also would create further jobs for this community. And most importantly for me, it has put this community and Anambra State on the world map.
Since the successful testing and demonstration flight into the airport on Friday, April 30th, 2021, public affairs commentators have continued to analyze it from different points of view. Some people have looked at the speedy construction of the airport in a mere 15 months at a time when the world was partially locked down by COVID-19.
It's what we have been expecting for quite a long time. We have gone to Oba, nothing happened. But today is the day the Lord has made for us. We are very grateful for the right person He has used to do the right thing at the right time. I believe that this time He built this airport is the right time for it. And I believe it's going to open doors for other businesses. So it is something everyone should appreciate and be grateful to God and, appreciate Him for the job well done.
There can be no gainsaying the enormity of what Willie Obiano has achieved with the Anambra International Cargo and Passenger Airport. For not only has he set a record in project management in Nigeria and much of the developing world, Obiano has also demystified the cloak of abandoned projects in Nigeria.
You may not know. Yes, I shed tears when I landed here because nobody ever believed that this day will come. Before I say anything, I want to give a lot of thanks to the federal government of Nigeria that has approved this airport. This is one of the fastest airports to be approved, even for a test flight. It is a testament to the quality of job done here.
We are now yesterday giving approval to fly. The concern of His Excellency is that how can Anambra people suffer during this Christmas when we have an edifice like that airport? And God answered his prayer. He's a dogged fighter. He has followed it with a lot of reasons given, but the important thing that this airport is operation. And we are telling the Anambra State to get ready, buy a ticket, we are going to fly.
The International Conference Center, ICC, is a big legacy project of the Obiano administration. The center is expected to launch Anambra into a new social orbit when it begins to host conferences, workshops, summits, and major get-togethers that will boost the revenue profile of the state.
The building itself is sitting on a 9-hectare land. The building is designed to seat a minimum of 10,000 people. In the approach, we have 2 main gates to the building itself, and we want people as they go through either of the gates to have some sort of experience of green areas. And so the building is one, and then the landscaping is another. And so the tripod pillars form a triangle where one might be dropped off. Under that cover is where we have what we call the Icc Monument. It's a water fountain with the letters ICC floating on them. You know, some experience where people might take pictures, where people might sit and wait for their family members or colleagues who had either gone to park the cars or whatnot, or even just hang out. His Excellency did request this, that this building sit way above the ground. And so you have to walk 15 steps to even get to the entrance platform. But on either sides of the building, because His Excellency loves, or is sensitive rather, to the handicapped people of the society, and we do have ramps for that purpose. The tripod terrace was done on purpose. It's a pre-function space of sorts. So if you choose to do some events outdoor, that is a great space. That alone can seat 2,000 people. And then you go into the main foyer where you gather to disperse. It's a double height space where we have 2 escalators and then we have 2 lifts. In that foyer we have, coffee shops, convention center store, sitting areas and so on. But that's where people meet and greet before you go in. On the right side and the left side of it, we have 2 banks of male and female restrooms, because we have that in 4 places. On the right side of that main hall, we have what we call the medium hall, which is divisible. You can use that hall as 1, or you can divide it into up to 3. Then beyond that, you have a smaller meeting halls, a storage space, banking hall. The banking hall would function independent of this place. Then at the end of that main hall, you have the industrial size kitchen. The concept is that they can cook it and it's warm and good when they serve. But the main cocoa on that ground floor is the big hall or the main auditorium. That's where you can sit between 7,000 to 10,000 people. You sit 7,000 if you do a banquet style sitting where you're sitting round table. Then you can do 10,000 easily if you're doing lecture style where people are just sitting, or for concert. But at the end of it is the stage, of course. The stage has 2 sections, permanent stage, which is smaller, and then it can extend to a removable stage. On that main hall, the back of it is where we have the gallery space. The gallery space is an L-shaped. The sitting there is actually more permanent. It folds when you're not sitting, but it unfolds for you to sit. People used to marvel at the engineering that went into this place to make it a clear story. Very, very brilliant engineers who designed it and actually built this whole thing like a Lego in China, dismantled it and brought it back here in Nigeria in 69 40-foot containers. They came back here, put it together, and voila, you have what you have here. And unfortunately, we had to cover it because of acoustics. So we have gypsum board ceiling and perforated ceiling for acoustics. The parking lot is 1,500 car capacity. This is one of its kind in Anambra State. This is one of maybe 4 in Nigeria. People coming into Anambra, having a handshake with Anambra, this becomes a convention hub. It's something that we can actually count is the benefit towards hospitality, trade and commerce, transportation. While all this is happening, it's increasing the IGR of Anambra State. I feel happy as a commissioner for housing Anambra State to say that I think we achieved what His Excellency aimed to do here.
Another fascinating legacy project of the Willie Obiano administration is the Orca City Stadium, situated in the heart of the capital city. The stadium was built to offer residents access to first-class recreational facilities that are critical to lifestyle adjustments.
A lot of work has been done. First of all, after the concrete, there was asphalting works done and allowed to cure over a period of time. Around July, the actual installation of the track started. It has about 5 stages. This is not the carpet type of installation. It's actually a speed track set for use. The youth that went for the National Youth Game at Ilori actually practiced here, even though work was still going on, but the contractor was magnanimous enough to allow them a space to train. So they actually train here. So as long as the track is concerned, the track has been completed, ready for use. And we are happy and thank the governor for providing for the first time in Anambra State to have a speed track that meets international standard. The next thing is the pitch for football. And as you can see, work is ongoing. We are at the installation stage. That's why you see the men are on ground 2-4, working day and night to make sure that this pitch is completed. If you look over there, the scoreboard is being installed. The floodlights are getting ready. When you go inside here, you will see a standard dressing room where you have the 2 teams having the away and the home team. The locker room, the shower room, and convenience is already there for the 2 of them. You have also the officials, they are the coaches, the match commissioners, they have their own locker room. Then you have also the medical room where you have the medical facilities. We don't want a situation where we will have injury while playing and we'll start looking around. it will be well fitted. We're going to have an ambulance ready and medical personnel there. The public address system is already there. So if matches are going on here, the commentary box, the same system that will activate the scoreboard. So that when the scoreboard, the matches are playing, you'll be seeing it live there from the scoreboard. If you get to 6 o'clock, there is need to follow, so stretch to 9 o'clock, we'll put on the floodlights. So all these facilities have been provided from.
The Anambra have benefited immensely from perfect working relations between the executive and legislative arms of government. From the inception of the Obiano administration, the harmony between the executive and legislative arms of government has been remarkable. Considering that Anambra is one of the few states where a governor was once impeached, the ability of Governor Obiano to manage the interface between the two arms of government is commendable.
Environment is a situation whereby, in every budget, we assign a particular resources amount to each ministry, MDA and parastatals. Okay. What environment simply means is, when a particular ministry exhausts their resources, they can go to another ministry that has much resources and borrow from them and be able to do it. In most governments of the country, one of the particular issues the legislators and the executive normally have is the executive going ahead to take money from a different ministry and expend in another ministry without recourse to the legislature. But His Excellency Willie Obiano never did it. Anytime he feels, okay, the Ministry of Works, there is massive need for us to build more roads, but we don't have more money in the Ministry of Works, but there is still money in Ministry of Diaspora, Culture and Tourism, he will refer to the House of Assembly. Please kindly pass this environment for me so that we can pull money from this ministry and the other ministry so that the state can move forward. And it's, at the end of the day, it's all for the good of Indian Anambra. So these are the two major places His Excellency has done greatly well in respecting and recognizing the second arm of government, which is legislature. And when such request comes, we don't waste time.
The inauguration of a division of the Court of Appeal in Orca, Anambra State on Wednesday, the 5th of February 2020 was a remarkable moment in the history of the state and a testament to the legacy administration of Governor Willie Obiano. For 29 years, the people and government of Anambra State endured the risk and stress of traveling to Enugu to seek justice in the appellate court under hazardous and very traumatizing conditions. Burdened with these realities and propelled by a stronger desire to provide a robust judicial system in Anambra State to support the growth and developmental drive of his administration and to attract even more federal institutions to increase the federal government's presence in the state, Governor Obiano's quest for a division of the appellate court in Anambra State became expedient, and with the help of an efficient state ministry of justice and the efforts of other Anambra-born legal luminaries, the dream became a reality.
This brought a lot of excitement, a lot of happiness to our people, particularly to the lawyers and to litigants, because it reduced cost of transportation to Enugu, risk of transportation. It brought justice to the footsteps of the Anambra. So justice delivery was quite effective and good. Today, if you go to the Court of Appeal, you will understand what I am saying. We are so happy, we are so excited, because then about 75% of the cases in the Court of Appeal of Enugu emanates from Anambra State. Today they are all here, and I say kudos and thank you to the justices of the Court of Appeal Orca Division. They've been working so hard, they've been assisting us, and our appeal have been moving so well and so fast.
To productively and positively engage the youth in the state, Governor Obiano repositioned the Ministry of Youth Entrepreneurship. This ministry, among other things, has created a framework which will train, retrain, and empower the youth in diverse vocations, producing a pool of skilled and semi-skilled workforce, making them either employers of labor or employable in the many industries that has been attracted by Obiano's favorable economic policy.
Then in the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we had a whole lot of things with him. He empowered the youth. More than 5,000 youths were empowered. a lot of training organized for them, jobs given to them, and we had a lot of sporting activities, so many sporting activities we achieved, and so many of our athletes we are employed overseas, and they are there now making money and earning a living for themselves.
Was in the Ministry of Youth. From Agric, I moved to the Ministry of Youth. In the Ministry of Youth, we developed a program that we call Smart Jobs Initiative. Smart Jobs Initiative was a program that we developed to anchor and help our youth to get employed, self-employed, utilizing a platform to feed and do business online. And that was also to tap into the logistics, economics, and also tap into the hospitality business, which is now the tourism and also the Ministry of Transport. And the idea is that we will utilize the youths to be able to book services, hotel services, logistics services for everybody who wants to travel, for everybody who wants to stay in a hotel. And that's been being promoted as we speak now. So youths are being engaged across the 21 local governments to trade on this platform.
One of Africa's most persistent political headaches is lack of succession planning. Nigeria's political leaders are known for not having a good succession plan, or for planting poorly prepared successors who cannot stand on their own feet. But Governor Obiano has blazed a trail by fighting for the emergence of a world-renowned economist and former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, as the governor-elect of Anambra State. Governor Obiano took Professor Soludo's election as a personal battle which must be won. He believes that after 8 years of laying a solid foundation for the accelerated development of Anambra State, all his achievements would count for nothing if a less competent candidate succeeded him. The emergence of Soludo as governor-in-waiting is therefore a major political achievement in a country where former governors have worked against the wishes of their people to plant spineless successors whom they felt would not be able to challenge their own records in office. It is for this reason that Soludo's election has been applauded by global leaders, world powers, leading statesmen, democratic institutions, and lovers of good governance across the world. It is fascinating how a single courageous act by a determined political leader can point the way to a brighter future in a country that badly needs redemptive political leadership. Governor Obiano has shown the way. Others will certainly follow. A most memorable feature of the Obiano administration has been the tremendous support from his dear wife, Chief Mrs. Ebelechukwu Obiano Osodieme. Mrs. Obiano has touched lives where it mattered most, building houses for indigent widows, empowering women and young girls with vocational skills and seed monies to take charge of their lives, building toilets in various markets to allow our women repossess their dignity from open defecation, offering limbs to amputees, fixing cleft palate lips, and finally, rehabilitating people afflicted with mental illnesses and reuniting them with their families. Surely, Chief Mrs. Ebelechukwu Obiano, through her NGO, is the human face of the Obiano administration. She deserves the praises and approval of the discerning public. In conclusion, the true value of a man is known from the way he reacts to the challenges of his time. Governor Willie Obiano has shown tremendous capacity for leadership and left a resounding legacy in Anambra State. Obiano has built monuments in the hearts and minds of Ndi Anambra where neither wind nor rain can wipe them away. History will be kind to him because he has made history.